Greetings, Patrick here. Dollar Theater Voters Edition time, and sometimes these movies, just jump out and do it themselves. Um, especially if we're doing more well-known movies. Last week I did 4 movies that one person knew my theme was. That was it. That was it. Only one person. But this one we decided to do a little bit of more of a heavy hitter as far as movies that we put up there. We put Shoot 'Em up there, The Terminator, Predator, and The Long Kiss Goodnight. So I knew we were going to get some action, at least, and a familiar movie, because sometimes that helps when people want to vote for, they want to vote for something familiar. So we threw it out there. And the movie that won is 1987's Predator. Man, I have not seen this for a minute. I got to be honest with you. Predator from 1987. Now, I saw this at the theater when it came out. That's for sure. I remember that. So I did see it a couple of times. And for those who don't know about the Predator, it was early. It was one of Arnold Schwarzenegger's movies. This is back in the 80s when he and Sylvester Stallone were going nose to nose as far as being who's a bigger action adventure star. And of course, they're pretty much picking up the handle. Picking up they're following the trails of a most unlikely box office hero who dominated a lot of the late 70s into the early 80s, and that was actually Burt Reynolds. Burt Reynolds was king, box office king for a long time. But then these guys got into it, and sooner or later their movies were the big event, the Manly Men movies and action adventure movies, and they started carrying the box office. So Predator was directed by John McTiernan, who had also directed Die Hard. And a bunch of other well-known movies that we know from, but Elvis's calling card of fame was Die Hard. It starred Arnold Schwarzenegger as the leader, Dutch, Carl Weathers as the military man Dylan, Bill Duke as Mac, Ilipedia as Anna, Jesse Ventura as Blaine, Sonny Landham as Billy, Richard Chavez as Pancho, Shane Black as Hawkins, R.G. Armstrong as the General Phillips, and Kevin Peter Hall, all 7'2" of them, was the Predator. Originally, it was supposed to be John Van Damme, but he was too small for the role, and he was not only too small for the role, but he complained a lot on set about, I want to be seen. You're supposed to be a monster. So he only lasted like 2 or 3 days, and they said, well, we're going to go a different direction. So they went and they got Kevin Peter Hall to play the creature. And they learned from Star Wars too. They didn't take any chance on him not having a good voice. So they went out there, and the producer went out there, and they hired Peter Cullen. That's right, Peter Cullen from the Transformers and from Scooby-Doo, and a bunch of other animated movies. They asked him to do the voice of the Predator. So the story is Dutch has a small squad, ex-military types, and they freelance around they freelance for a lot of different governments, including ours. And they get asked to go into Central America by Dylan to rescue allies, some of their politicians. Their helicopter got shot down, and they need to go in there and rescue them. They're being held for hostage, and so because and Dutch. At first, we see Dutch and Dylan, they look to be best of friends. And, Dutch reminds Dylan that, we don't do assassinations, we rescue people. That's what we do. We rescue. We help people. We don't kill people if we can help it. And of course, Dylan's like, yeah, no problem, man. I knew that. So they go inside the jungle. We meet on the way there. We meet all the rest of the team. We see Bill Duke as Mac. Jesse Ventura as Blaine. He handles the mini machine gun. Billy Landham as Billy. One thing about Billy Landham, man, I forgot how good he was in this film. Man, he really was good in this film. And I remember seeing him on 48 Hours. That's where I remember him more than anything else. I remember him from 48 Hours with him and James Remar. And I had heard that he was rough off camera. I mean, he had a quick temper and he got into a lot of fights and in fact, the insurance company would not they would not assure the film unless the production company hired a bodyguard to keep Sonny Landham basically sober. Like you have to keep him sober and have them not to get any fights. Another thing, you just hired one guy. I mean, Sonny Landham was like 6'2", maybe about maybe about 210, 215. He was not a small man, and he was in great shape. Well, anyway, he did a great job in this movie. In fact, I think his character was my favorite in the movie. Richard Chavez as Poncho and Shane Black. Shane Black acting. A lot of people don't know that Shane Black actually acted, but he actually became a very prolific screenwriter, and wrote a ton of popular films, action films, including The Last Boy Scout. That's how he made his mark on Hollywood, not as an actor, but as a screenwriter. And he also directed a couple of films as well. So anyway, the boys get dropped into Central America on some choppers. More on that later. So it's a small team. There's six of them, or seven. There's six for Dutch's team plus Dylan, and they jump in there and they're gonna track down and get these hostages. So they do find him. What they don't know is that, and it shows us in the beginning of the film, is the Predator has been dropped off on our planet. They show him flying through space and dropped off onto the planet, and he's there as basically it's a test to test to see how strong he is. If he, sort of like a manhood test, so to speak. And so he gets dropped into the jungle, and he's supposed to try to find, he's supposed to be challenged. He's supposed to find someone to challenge him in a fighting. And so he gets dropped off, and that's what he's looking for. He's looking for someone who can actually take him on in a fight. He has run across what they don't know is they've already run across some of the people that had been in there that Dylan sent in there beforehand, a Green Beret team, and they all have been killed. They're a little. They didn't know that either. They're like, well, you didn't tell us that you sent people in here already, and not only people, but people that Dutch and his team know personally. And and he says, well, what else are you not telling us? You're holding something out. What are you holding out on? And it's like and you can sort of feel you can not sort of feel so much the anger. And this is with Schwarzenegger. He actually did a pretty good job here acting wise. He wasn't just there for the one-liners, and you can actually hear in his voice and the way he looks when he goes up to Dylan. He says, "You used to be somebody I could trust." And for Dutch to say that to him, to Dylan, that would be like that's probably the worst thing he could have done to the man. He's trying to sit there and say, well, you're assets, you're expendable. We have to get this job done. But even as he says it, he knows that's the wrong thing to say. And you can see in both men's faces that You know, you could both see it in their faces what he has said. It's a good piece of acting. Good piece of acting. This movie's I remember it being more, more 1 plus 2 equal 2, 1 plus 1 equal 2. You know, it's very simple. But this movie, there's a lot there. There's a lot there. The way that the friends when they get lost, when they lose their friends, they mourn them. You can also tell, which is really interesting to me, is that while they're in there and they're rescuing these people, and they're going to, they're risking their lives for it. On the way out, after after they rescue one girl, wasn't much of a rescue. With all the hostages, they didn't even, it's like it was a mistake. I don't know if it's a script mistake or what, but they're supposed to be trying to rescue 8 people, and Dutch sees one get killed, and that's all he sees. So there's supposed to be 7 hostages left, but when they assault this rebel camp, they blow it the hell up. They don't even look for hostages. It's just like, if it moves, it dies. It's like, well, yeah, but what about the hostages? Anyway, they only rescue one hostage, a girl, and then they leave, and that's when the predator starts attacking them. What I thought was really interesting is that you would have thought that these guys would have been just absolutely, most of the time Hollywood would have played this as these guys are hard as nails, and they're indestructible. They're they're gonna be full of one-liners, and initially in the beginning of the before the rescue, before they hit the predator, they do. Hawkins keeps on trying to pass off the same dirty joke to the rest of the team. They're just, you can see the camaraderie with them. But after they start losing people, and I thought this was really interesting. You can see how long they've been doing this. They've been doing this for a very long time, and you can see the damage, and you think, and they collapse. That's the thing that caught me so by surprise when I was watching this movie was Dutch's team emotionally, they collapsed. They had enough. When they started seeing their friends die, it wasn't the typical badass. Well, I'm going to kill everybody. No, they mourned. They were like, I'll see you soon, buddy. Take good care of his friend. When one character gets killed, his friend has a drink with him and puts a little bottle on top of him. He's protecting his body. They're taking the bodies home. And when they do see their friends, they don't just they feel the emotion of it. Not that I really remember from Old Predator, but there's some real depth here to this movie. It wasn't just a wham bang shoot 'em up. And of course we see Billy, after he realizes this, he realizes that they're not going to get out of there. Not all of them are going to get out of here. And so he's going to give his friend, he's going to sacrifice himself trying to get his friends out of there. And he tosses away the gun, and he brings out his knives, and he cuts himself to draw the attention, and he's making a last stand. He's making a last stand, much like Dylan did. Dylan made a last stand too, and you can hear what happened to him. And then once that happens, then Billy realizes they're not going to make it. And so he gets on that log, and he stands in the middle. That's as far as he's going to go. He's gonna die for his friends. He's going to try to save them. He's either going to save them or he's going to die for them. And that's really, it's just, you would think that all those guys at that time in their career, that's all they would be thinking about. It would be survival. Like they survived 30 missions. I want to come home on the 31st, and for them to sit there and say, your life is greater than mine, and I'm going to show it to you. It shows the brotherhood that those men had, and what they and you know and willing to do whatever it takes to save him. And so there's Billy on the bridge, on the log, doing just that. And of course, as he buys him time, and then of course you hear him being killed you hear him being killed, and it's sad. It's 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 an emotional. It feels emotional. At least it did for me. I mean, it's like, wow, he that's what he did. Even Dylan, when Dylan stayed with, when he stayed with Mac, he could have left. All the people, all the cynical people, all the ones that could have cared only about his own hide. That would have been Dylan. But Dylan stayed. He stayed with Mac. He says, I got you guys in here. As least I could do is go all the way with you. And I think when he was sending the message he was sending the message to Dutch saying that, yes, I said that you and your team are expendable, but in actuality, you're not, because you're my friend. You've always been my friend. And I'm showing it to you. I might have said that, but I was just full of hot air. I don't want you guys to die. Yeah, a pretty good, really, really strong movie. I mean, really think about it, right? Of course, pretty soon, he sends the girl up ahead. And the reason why she wasn't attacked was um, because she didn't have any weapons in her hands. She wasn't fighting. Um, and but then Dutch goes ahead and he says his famous line. He says, "Get to the chopper." so, and then he takes on the Predator one on one, and he doesn't know what it is. He knows that it's aliens. They do a good job in to establish the science fiction of this movie. I mean, they didn't wait till the last minute, and then we find out that it's an alien. We know that it's an alien the first 10 seconds, and so it's really weird. I mean, it really worked. It really worked that they did that. The other thing I thought about the Predator 2 was it's a gender reversal slasher movie. It really was a slasher movie. At its heart of everything, it's more. It's a science fiction action adventure, but in actuality, it's a horror film. It's no different from any slasher film where they get stalked one by one, killed by one, and they have a final guy instead of a final girl. This is a slasher movie in its heart. It's something different. But that's what makes it really different, though, is the acting and the writing. There's a lot of it in here, a lot of heart into this. I'm glad I rewatched this. I really enjoyed it. It made me think back to, because I haven't seen it for such a long time. And so yeah, I thought they did a great job. They shot down in Mexico. Actually, the shooting location, even now, they turned it into a tourist attraction. So you could go down to Mexico and actually find the set where they filmed at least the first Predator at. Now, of course, we all know that Predator went on to do a series of films, right? They're still doing them even as we speak. They even crossed over with Predator versus Alien. They've also had Predator versus superheroes. They've had Batman, and I think they've had Superman. Not Superman, but they've had Batman, and I think they've had Spider-Man and a couple of other ones. So and such versus Predator. It's a very popular character, and yeah, we every time a movie will come out with a Predator movie, we all go to it and check it out. All right, but the original is definitely the best. It really is. It's the best. It's the best Predator movie. It's one of those ones where a kiss can't really be improved upon. You can't really remake it. I mean, you could, but I don't think you're going to get nearly the same magic for it. You're not going to get the same. You're not going to get the same. It's not going to be nearly as good. It's going to be you're going to focus too much on the action and adventure, and they're going to miss the camaraderie and the comradeship and the friendship and the sacrifice that these guys show on the screen. And I hope they never try, because it would just. I mean, I can understand doing sequels. I'm all right with sequels. To do sequels all you want, but you can't come back and you can't remake this. You can't reboot it. This is one of those classics where you just don't want to see it happen. All right. Well, that is it for Dollar Theater, the Voters Edition. Predator. This is the early version of the movie. This is an early version. So there's nothing on the back here, but this has been released several times over with tons of information on it. Its IMDb page is well worth looking up too. That's where I got some of my facts for this review. There's a ton of facts. People really love this movie and they like to talk about it. So, let me know what you think about it. Let me know what you think about Predator. What did you like about it or dislike about it? Is it still one of your favorite movies? Have you seen it or not? Drop a comment down below. Like to hear your 2 cents on it. Is this Arnold's best movie? I don't know. You tell me. All right. Well, that is it for now. And thank you for watching. I don't know what we're going to be putting up here. I'll put up something as soon as I get done putting this up. Then I'll put the next 4 movies up. And I look forward to seeing you guys' vote. And me and the Cheetah will be looking forward to seeing what you guys will pick out for us next week. All right. Have a great night. If you're new to the channel, hit the sub button, hit the like button, and also drop a comment. Peace.